Hi, today I'm joined by Matt Godby, Managing Director of Godby Credit Management, and we're addressing a couple of articles we've seen in the legal press recently. Um, Quite shocking articles, frankly. There's been a recent survey done uh, by an organisation which suggests that there are uh, 40 out of 40 LLPs surveyed, it was found that 55% of them had insufficient cash on their balance sheets to cover 1 month's operating expenses, and 38% wouldn't even have enough to pay their salary bill. Now, obviously, this is kind of historic data, so it's quite frightening, especially at the moment. And one would imagine that there's going to be a lot more pressure on firms and a lot of firms in distress. I'd just like to ask Matt initially your thoughts on why that might be, why they are so lean in terms of their balance sheets, Matt.
Hi, good to speak to you again. And I'd add that report there as well. It's for the top 40 UK law firms as well. So it's actually, those law firms are at the top of the tree. So it's extremely concerning. As you rightly say there, this is perhaps based on somewhat historical data. So I think it's quite a concern. I think we both talked quite a lot in the past about the capacity for some of the major law firms to adapt and the speed in which they adapt to change is perhaps not as quick as smaller law firms in many respects, and indeed not necessarily quick to change compared with a lot of normal commercial organisations. I think this is symptomatic really of the way that a lot of the top law firms work in terms of their business model, in terms of their control around their cash flow, control around their work in progress, and control around how they engage with clients and how they actually get paid for the fees that the partners run up.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think there are a number of environmental factors as well. I think the business environment is a lot tougher for law firms now, a lot more competitive. I also feel that there is a lot less interest from the banks to fund professional service businesses. And I think that's quite a significant thing. And I think you're seeing that reticence coming through to these results in as far as firms are just haven't got the support. Now, my concern there is that I think there's something of an artificial support at the moment, because I think that the banks are being put under pressure by the government to give funding to these organisations. But that isn't going to last forever. And once we do get back to some kind of normality, I rather suspect there's going to be less enthusiasm, should we say, even less enthusiasm from the bank. So I do see some very difficult times ahead. But there will be casualties. But what can firms do, Matt, in terms of their credit management to avoid the difficulty that they're having and will have in the future? What can they do internally?
I think quite interesting what you said there. And there was a further report out last week with City AM, which and I'll read it verbatim. It says 3 lessons law firms can learn from rivals collapses amid the coronavirus. And the headline there says law firm collapses are a lot like the bank runs of 2008. It's a very interesting article, and we can post that at the bottom here once we've finished. In terms of what law firms can do, I was on an excellent webinar with Carter Bond this morning, and it's all about communication. Everything is about speaking to your clients and your customers. In the times we're in at the moment, lots of businesses, whether it be law firms or anyone else, are in the same position where they've got cash flow challenges, and there's simply not enough cash with much of the the UK economy in hibernation. There's simply not enough cash to go around right now. So all firms need to be firstly getting the basics right. They need to be scrutinising their fees, scrutinising their WIP, and clearing as much WIP as they possibly can, notwithstanding the certain areas of practice that many firms work in. They then need to be having skilled people actually engaging and having meaningful conversations with their clients, not waiting until the invoice is due, or in many cases overdue, but having meaningful conversations right now. Payment histories and all of that are somewhat out of the window right now. So whatever the payment histories of your clients were in the past, or whatever used to happen in the past in terms of payments, don't assume that that's going to be the future. So they need to be having meaningful conversation with the clients to understand, A, can they actually pay? And if they can't afford to pay, what steps can you take to support them to make, to allow them to pay? Communication is key, but also support is key as well. So typically law firms that I've spoken to will send out an invoice for many months worth of fees to clients, and then expect them to be able to afford to pay for them in one go. Again, that's the old rules. That's simply not sustainable in the current environment. So two things: communication is key, and so is support with the client.
Okay, thanks, Matt. Yeah, I think with the current crisis and the reduction in enthusiasm for funding law firms, I think those words of advice are even more important than ever. Anyway, Matt.
What further steps do you feel that the partners can be taken? Because partners are central to all of this. So, are there any really key steps that you feel that the partners can be taking at the moment, notwithstanding what I said there?
Well, I think there's two things. One is sort of probably take less drawings from the business. Probably quite a sort of obvious thing to say, but probably not. But then I'd say I think it goes back to what you're saying, really. I think the partners need to lead on culture. Their role is to lead on culture and ensure that they have the systems in place and the people in place to ensure they can manage their cash correctly and ensure that they are meeting the ratios which they should set. They should set targets, but they need to really step up and lead here and show that cultural leadership to ensure that those things happen and the businesses survive. Okay, well, I think go on, Matt. Do you want to say something else?
Yeah, just sorry to interrupt. I was just going to comment one finally, just before we wrap up, is that I think there's a lot of businesses and law firms in particular that particularly coming across particular challenges now with regard to shortages of staff and also skill shortages as well. So there's lots of firms and businesses that have furloughed off a lot of their staff. And they're now coming across the problems where they haven't got enough staff to actually continue operating with the workloads that they've got. Those staff that are left, they're overworked. I've also heard, concerningly, stories where some firms are actually using furloughed staff to do bits and bobs of work. And also it's going to lead to skill shortages as well, because quite obviously if you're going to have a shortage of staff, then you're also going to have a shortage of skill, and I think that's perhaps something that a real squeeze that many firms are having right now. The scheme continues, that's probably going to be something that they're going to be bringing a pinch on.
I agree. That is a real problem. There's less cash going out the door, but at the same time, the skills are going out the door as well. So that's perhaps a very very valid point to end on, Matt. So thank you very much. Great to catch up, and no doubt see you soon.
Yeah, thanks very much, Rupert. Pleasure.
Bye.